I've learned about nervous system. They're really fascinating. They control everything from our movement, our reactions, and even our heart rate.
Yeah, but reading about it is one thing. I can't quite see how it actually puts in real life the food. Maybe my book on how to not exactly, but it's experiments.
Ooh. Like maybe testing our reflexes, our reactions, or tricking our brain a little.
Exactly. So, guys, let's do the experiment.
Hi everyone! So today, this is going to be our first experiment in the lab. So we're going to try the patella reflex, or also known as the knee jerk. Hi sir! So can you please sit down?
This?
Yeah, but make sure that your legs are crossed and the one on top is relaxed.
Relax. Okay.
Okay.
Hi everyone. Next up, we have the ankle jerk reflex, which is otherwise known as the Achilles reflex. Follow along. First, make sure the subject has his shoes removed. Then ensure that he's kneeling on a chair as such. Now, we lightly tap the tendon on his ankle. Now, this is called the ankle jerk reflex. Isn't it cool?
Hi guys, so for the third experiment, we're going to do the swallowing reflex test. Sarish, let's test something out.
Okay, that was one.
Right, can you try to swallow?
Okay.
Okay, now swallow for the second time.
That was harder.
Right, it is difficult. So right now, I'm going to test something. Try drinking the water and swallow rapidly. How does it feel?
It's much easier now.
Right, so my theory was correct. Thank you.
So today we're going to test the reaction time on site. Okay, so notice this is your stopwatch. As soon as I start stopwatch, we will start it together. But as soon as I stop it, you also stop it. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so as you can see, there's a delay on the timer. And now we're going to repeat the experiment 10 times. Yeah.
Okay guys, for the last experiment, we're going to see the reaction time to touch. Alifa! Hi! So can I ask your help in this experiment?
Yes.
So I'm going to give you the stopwatch and we will start the stopwatch at the same time. But here's the twist. I need you to close your eyes and when you feel a slight touch to your foot, I need you to immediately stop the stopwatch. Can? Okay. Alright, please close your eyes. Okay, on the count of 3, we'll start together. 1, 2, 3. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to have to measure your nerve pathways, which is from your foot to your brain and to your fingers. So the total distance is 2, 4, 3. The knee jerk reflex, or also known as the patella reflex, is a simple neurological test that is used to assess the function of the nervous system. So in this experiment, the subject sits with their legs hanging freely, while a reflex hammer is tapped on slightly on the patella tendon just right below the kneecaps. This action activates the muscle spindles that sends a signal through the sensory neurons to the spinal cord. Did you know that this test is usually used by the doctors to check if there's an underlying neurological conditions if there were an exaggerated or an absent reflexes during the test?
Next up, we have the Achilles reflex, otherwise known as the ankle jerk reflex. Now, this is an important reflex for two things. It helps us maintain our posture and our balance. It's controlled by our nervous system, specifically the spinal cord. Now, let's explain to you how it works. First, you locate the tendon which is right above the foot, and you hit it with a reflex hammer. Now, this produces a sudden strike. It's detected by specific receptors called muscle spindles. Now, these muscle spindles will then send signals through the sensory neuron back to the spinal cord, which will return to the muscles through motor neuron. Now, the calf muscles will receive this signal and will contract, which causes a jerk to the ankle. Now, this reflex is important for walking, running, or even standing upright, as it allows our bodies to detect sudden changes in tension and help balance itself. Now, doctors can also use this reflex to test whether your neurological systems or your spinal cord has any issues. As if your reflex works fine, it means that there's more likely no issues, but if there was an absence in the reflex or it's an exaggerated response, it means you might have other issues relating to your spinal cord or even nerve damages.
The swallowing reflex experiment demonstrates how the nervous system controls swallowing and why it becomes difficult under certain conditions. In this experiment, participants were asked to swallow twice in succession without drinking water. They found that the second swallow was significantly more difficult. However, after drinking water, they could continue swallowing rapidly without any difficulty. This phenomenon occurs due to the two main controls of swallowing. First, voluntary control, which means the initial phase of swallowing is voluntary, where the tongue pushes saliva or food to the back of the throat. Second, reflexive control, which means once the substance reaches a certain point in the pharynx, the swallowing reflex is automatically triggered. When attempting to swallow twice without water, the swallowing reflex cannot be activated immediately because the muscles in the pharynx require time to reset after each swallow. Additionally, the amount of saliva present may not be sufficient to trigger the reflex effectively, making successive swallows more difficult. On the other hand, when drinking water, the liquid consistently stimulates sensory receptors in the pharynx and esophagus, allowing the swallowing reflex to be triggered repeatedly without.
Response time is an important measure on how quickly the brain processes visual information and produces a response via the body. And in this experiment, we have two people, and they will start their stopwatch at the same time. And when the designated person stops their stopwatch, the other person will have to stop their stopwatch as quickly as possible. And the difference between both of their time is the delayed response. And in this experiment, we can see how vision, brain processing, and motor response work together. But it can also be affected by old age, fatigue, or medical conditions such as neurological disorders. And it is important to explore the response time, as it is important in areas such as driving, sports, or even medical diagnostics. And by analyzing the results of this experiment, we can identify the internal and external factors and also improve our response time via focus and practice.
Well, on the other hand, reaction time to touch refers to the time taken for a subject to react to a given stimulus. Unlike the knee-jerk reflex, the reaction time to touch actually requires a brain processing before generating an appropriate response. When a person feels a touch, the sensory receptors on the skin will send signals to the brain through sensory neurons. The brain then will process the information and it will send signals to the motor neurons, which leads to an appropriate reaction to the stimuli. There are multiple factors that could affect and influence the reaction time, such as age, training, attention, and fatigue. Athletes, for example, often have a faster reaction time to their repeated practice and training.